For me, one of the most stunning images from yesterday's coverage of the school shooting in Colorado was this armored vehicle driving onto school grounds. It got me wondering how many small towns in America have Humvees, tanks, and other military-grade weapons at their disposal to deal with local crises. And so, John, what? I mean, at that point, you know, the danger was over, and I was so shocked to see that this small Colorado town had this.
You shouldn't be. In the aftermath of 9/11, as we developed the Department of Homeland Security, one of the ways that local police departments could actually get a little bit of money from the federal government was to put in applications for all sorts of equipment. Now, I'm not saying that one came out of that, but what I am saying is that across this country, we have poured immense amounts of resources into incredibly high-level responses to these crises. And this is a crisis whenever there's violence in a school of this type. And it does concern me, because I think that this is a part of the rethink. One of the things that we do in a moment like this is say, well, where's the legislation? Where's the big fix that we can do? What I would suggest is that there's also a point at which we ought to talk about our allocation of resources within the existing set of rules and what we ought to do. And I will juxtapose it. I hope I'm not leaping too far here. You got that tank, or you got that armored vehicle. At the same time, I see schools across this country taking hits on their janitorial staff, on their
arts programs,
but on the whole of the program. And what I would suggest to you is this: I think the best protection for a school is a community where people know each other well, where the same people have been there over generations sometimes, where a parent can say, yeah, I had that teacher, or yeah, I knew Mr. Such and Such. Because that sense of connection, I think, brings kids in, even kids who might otherwise not feel connected. And so I would hope that as we pour resources into these schools and into communities, I absolutely hope that we do what's necessary to keep them safe. But I also hope that we think about how do we reinforce a sense of community, and part of that is keeping long-term staff well-trained and frankly well-compensated.
So, Greg, I want to ask you in part on that. One of the moments that broke my heart was this student talking about texting her parents in the moment as it was happening. And I just want to listen for a moment to what she had to say there.
I texted my parents. Fortunately, I had my phone, but I sent the text I never wanted to have to send to my parents, and that was saying that, you know, we had indeed heard gunshots, but that was okay for now.
I sent the text I never wanted to have to send to my parents, meaning she thought about it. It wasn't like I sent an unthinkable text. I thought a text, but one that she thought about, and so I kept thinking, does that armored vehicle, does this military-grade equipment, like, how does that fit with then also living for her in a circumstance where she's thinking about the possibility that she may have to send this kind of text?
You know, to Lisa's point, it's a new normal now, and it's unfortunate that we are where we are, but it's a matter of we have to be careful how we go down this slippery slope. And to my point, I was really an outspoken critic against putting armed police officers in every school. First of all, I had this three-pronged test. First, what problem are you trying to solve by putting a police officer at the front door? Okay, when you get that question answered, can you afford to put a police officer in every school, not just your school or my school, but every school? Make every school safe. So 125,000 schools in the country, how many cops? Can you do that? If you can't do it, then don't start it, because then you can't sustain it. So the question really is, are we going to get to the point where we can do things that are doable and sustainable rather than just the knee-jerk reactions towards every event that occurs?
Jonathan, I'll give you the last word on this.
Well, you know, I just think that I mean, we're still processing what happened here, but this is, among other things, an access to guns issue. And so, in a way, the question of armed police in the schools is kind of like guarding against the shoe bomber or something that's already kind of happened. This is also an access to guns issue, and we have tremendous research that shows that if we limit access, we'll stop the problem before it even happens at this point.
Right. So there may be questions of mental health and all of these other sorts of things, but in the end, there's a fundamental access question.
Absolutely.
Gregory Thomas and Jonathan Metzl, thank you both for being here this morning. Now, before we go to break, I want to once again point our audience to a special project online at msnbc.com. It focuses on the lives of the people lost far before their time. Please take a look through this extraordinary piece of reporting at msnbc.com/tooyoungtodie. Up next, we're going to shift gears and talk about the big news out of Washington this week and why the devil really is in the details.